Hello everybody. So I just want to make a quick video since these trucks are getting old and nobody seems to be working on them anymore on how to do a 3-inch body lift on a Dodge Dakota. This is a 1992. They don't make any kits for these anymore. So I had to get a little creative and I went ahead and I ordered a kit for a 2098 or a 2001 full-size Ram. So these kits, there's a bunch of them on eBay. You can get a 3-inch lift in them. Really, you're just after the pucks, and in this case, the rear brackets as well. And I could show you kind of what I did in order to customize that to a Dodge Dakota. So one of the first things with the Dodge Dakota is up front on the existing bumper. I got a whole mess of stuff in here. On the original kit, you know, everyone says, oh, it takes me 6 hours to do, it takes whatever to do. This took me multiple days and was a complete pain in the ass. But I was doing something custom and it was something to do. So I enjoyed doing it. But right here up front on our bumper, this was an easy modification. So when you take your bumper off to add the 3-inch lift, you'll take these 3 bolts out on the back and, you know, the side brackets and everything. And this comes off with the front bumper. So what I did was I measured 3 inches down from those holes. You can see those 3 holes there. And I measured 3 inches down and I marked 3 holes for me down here. And I went ahead, drilled those out, and was able to move, just like that, move the bumper up after the body lift. So that was a very easy, relatively easy modification. The one thing that kind of gets you is there's a stamped raised part here lower on the bracket. So when you move it down from that flat area down to here, it kind of makes some lining of it up a little difficult. You have to drill the hole kind of on the side of this raised part here, and that was kind of difficult. I didn't do it on this side. On the other side, I put a couple washers up here to kind of raise the height and make it, I don't know, fit better in my mind. What I ended up doing was on this side, I just went ahead and tightened it up, and you can see the thin metal that kind of holds those 3 nuts together, that bent and just kind of went into place. Oh, another thing to note is this 3-bolt adjustable bracket thing here. It's held in place by a sheet metal cover that goes over it. And all you have to do, I think there's 4 spot welds. I drilled out the 4 spot welds and then pried it off, and that came right off. And so now this is free floating when you go to take it off, so it'll kind of tumble to the ground. But you just drill the spot welds, move it down. That was how I got that to work. Now, another thing, I know a lot of guys do a electric fan conversion. That is in the cards for this truck. So this truck has got the 5.2 liter V8 in it, but I got a little bit of a leaking transmission evidently. It's not too bad. This has been a couple of weeks. It's been sitting here, so it's on the list, but I figure instead of doing all that, I'm going to put that OM606 diesel engine in it. I'm going to turbocharge that, put it in, and then I got a 8HP70 transmission there. So that's planned. It's going to happen eventually. Now on the fan blade, when you do the lift, it's going to lower your fan down on the mechanical fan because you're lifting the body and the radiator support and radiator and all that goes up. So in order to clear these hoses, I just bent the fan blades. Now, mileage may vary on this. Again, this is something I just did to get it done. I'm able to clear those 2 hoses there. That's to the transmission cooler that I have mounted under here, and then this is a lower radiator hose. So we'll see how that ends up working out. But just went ahead and I bent them all until they cleared. Ain't prettiest, but we'll see if that works. Another thing you gotta do is cut the fan shroud here. One of the brilliant things that I kind of ran into when doing this was I ordered one of those tool kits, right? Years ago with the oscillating tool in it, and I had never used one of those really for much. I was like, oh yeah, I have this tool, so I went ahead and I used it, and that worked incredibly. Cut through it like butter. It was super easy. I know some people use like a hacksaw or something. Did it on both sides. It was a little hard over here with going around the hoses, but you were able to trim it all up, get the fan shroud out of there, and take care of it. So here's the other side with the other bracket. Now, the kit for the full-size trucks, it comes with other extensions and stuff. So this is the bumper stabilizing piece. I went ahead, there's 2 of these 3-inch extensions on there. Went ahead and extended them, moved it up, tightened it all up. With the brake lines, went ahead and loosened them. Was able to actually do the body lift. I loosened these brackets here. Was able to do the body lift without pulling on anything. So then I tightened them back down. So I got the wheel and all that. Plenty of slack in here for the suspension and everything. Moving towards the mid of the truck. And you will make a mess doing this. Another thing that I highly recommend is spraying every single cab corner bolt hole with penetrating oil prior to trying to get these bolts out. So when I was doing this is actually the first cab mount I tried, and it backed almost all the way out. And I didn't, kind of rookie mistake, started getting tight, and I was like, I should probably, work this in and then back out again, but I didn't. And I was like, nah, I'm loosening it. It's almost all the way out. It'll come. And that's when it started spinning. So I had the bolt almost all the way out. It was just sitting here with this much out and spinning, and it was intensely frustrating. So I know a bunch of guys, they'll go in and they'll cut up all sorts of things trying to get in there. I was able to drill this hole first. Wasn't quite where I needed it. Came over, drilled a couple more holes, and found right where the corner, it's like a square block in there. It's a steel square, and it's threaded, and then it's held in place by a kind of retaining bracket thing. And I went ahead and I had a shaped crowbar, so I stuck the crowbar in there, hit it with the impact, and zipped it off. And then when I went to tighten it back on, held it in place there and tightened it back on. So then I went ahead and, sprayed some paint on there just to hopefully keep that from rusting a little bit. But I would highly recommend, if you can get in through here or you can get in through here, spray penetrating oil multiple times several days before doing a body lift. My truck is kind of medium rusty, so like the body itself isn't too bad. That's dirt right there. And my frame is okay, kind of in the front. It's not the greatest, but kind of down towards the end, it gets more rusty. It's a southern truck, but I spent a couple years in Wisconsin, and even though I was doing everything I could, rust prevented it beforehand, and did everything I could, it'll eat up a truck real quick. So the rest of the body cab mounts, they came out easy, no problem. These are the pucks from the kit. It's like $160 on eBay. Came with the bolts and washers. Zipped them in. Didn't really have any trouble with the rest of the cab bolts. I lifted it up with a block kind of here at the front. Put a block here. Used the jack. Lifted the cab up. I kept that side loose. So a couple bolts in on that side and kept them loose. And then went ahead and lifted it. Trying to think if there's anything else with that was kind of difficult. The cab was straightforward. When it came to, I still got to do the shift linkage. I went in to go and start it, and that kind of got me because I realized even though I loosened it all the way, where's the shift linkage? There it is. So even though I loosened that right there all the way, still just not quite enough. So I got to take that off. The kit comes with an extension. I just got to weld it. So got to head over to my dad's, get that welded, and once I lengthen that, truck will start right up, and we'll be able to go from there. As for the other the other steering component with a kit like this, the kit does come with an extender. It's a complete mess in my garage right now after this, but it comes with the steering extension. I didn't try this. It may or may not work. For the Dodge Dakotas, what I did was I redid my front end at one point. Redid the front end at one point, and when I did that, I tried to get it aligned, and they said that I need to replace the intermediate shaft. And so naturally I went looking, and on these trucks you can't get any parts, and so there wasn't an intermediate shaft to be found. So my options were look in a junkyard for one or make my own. So I decided to make my own, and that made the lift really easy because I had already made a custom intermediate shaft that had the length already built into it. So right down here have a stainless, I think it's stainless, I don't remember, but a universal joint there, universal joint here, and then a D channel bar with a little thing in it, and then the boot that goes over it. And so when I had done this project a few years back, I had given myself enough length extra in the other half of the D channel, whatever you call it. And so when I went and raised it, this just nice and easily backed out. I took the boot off, but it just nice and easily backed up the 3 inches, and then I didn't have to loosen anything or tighten anything, and it was ready to go. So that made it super easy. Didn't have to adjust anything with that. When you go to do this, the ground strap there is going to get kind of tight. I don't think this will be an issue. I'm sure there was a bracket in there. There's a bunch of miscellaneous brackets. I could extend it if I need to, but this is fine. I don't think it's going to see too much movement. If it ends up rubbing, I put some duct tape over it just in case it rubs, but if it does end up rubbing, I can just do something to drop that down a little bit, and then that's that taken care of, or I just get a longer ground strap. Everything else fit relatively easily. Didn't have to do anything really. So that was all easy on the front end. Now on the back, when I ordered the kit, these bolts did not fit. They've worked on the cab mounts, but they did not fit in the rear. So I don't know what's different about the Dodge full size compared to the Dakota. But for the back, I just ordered. I went to Home Depot and found some 4-inch stainless bolts that worked, that were the size I needed. And so I did those 4 on each side, and that worked out nice and easily. With the fuel hoses, didn't even have to loosen those, or take those off. I loosened them a little bit, but when I brought it up, it worked, and so I didn't end up having to take anything apart. So got those all in. That was, again, relatively easy part. The hard part came with modifying the full-size Dodge rear bumper bracket. Now on the rear bumper, mine's been hit in the past, so I don't know too many of these square bys that have a perfect bumper. Mine used to. I was very proud of it. It's kind of rare for these to make it through without getting all beat up, but then somebody ran into me and the hitch didn't save it, so now I got a dent on each side, and gone is my pretty bumper. But when it comes to modifying these rear full-size truck brackets, I got kind of clever with it. So the original bracket, which is right here, the original bracket is a just flat piece of C-channel with 3 holes on either side. So when you go line it up on this side, all right, those are your 3 holes. The bottom 2 were for, I guess, mostly the bracket, and then the upper one was for this kind of brace that goes to the corner of the bumper. And so what I ended up doing was notching. I was able to get these 2 kind of estimated. So what I did was I took this C-channel, I laid it across like that, and I did it so both, like, it was flat between these 2 points here. So it was laying flat across on the upper part of these 2 little fin things that are coming off of the ram bracket. And so when I kind of lined everything up to the back end and the front end, you kind of have to play with it, but if you line it up just right, you can get it to where you can get these 2 holes and mark them on your bracket there, and then the other half of the bracket here, it's built in with the riser because it's for a 3-inch body lift, right? So this part's going to be higher than the stock orientation. So it's kind of hard to describe now it's installed in the truck. I should have shown it, kind of previous. But on the back end here, it had 2 holes holding the bumper on right here. There was this third one that was not drilled in the bumper and was just sitting kind of open, pressed against the bumper. And so that hole there, this is the kind of rusty end of the truck, right? So that hole there left an imprint on the bumper. And so when I took this off, I could see here was the original hole, and then here was the mark for the hole that was never drilled. And so when I took the bumper off on both sides, I drilled out where this hole is, and that matches in the ram bracket, or the full-size bracket. It had those 2 holes and a third one up there. And so I was able to drill that and get that to where it would mount perfectly. And those holes were kind of the oblong adjustable ones. And so I was able to get, I don't know if you can see here, but you see how the top is kind of angled on a diagonal? Well, the way I've mounted these is that they're in line. So they're both these two oblong adjustable areas, and I was able to mount it where it was flat so that my bumper lies level. Don't know why the ram is, on the kit, why it's tilted like that, but I was able to modify it to where it would work. So, kind of again, just to recap, the original bracket, I laid it flat across so that like it was going flat from here to here, like that, and it kind of showed an angle on each of those angled fins as it went flat across. And that's where I drilled my 2 holes. So I laid it flat, drilled those 2 holes where it lined up flat. This would be a little bit lower if it were, entirely accurate, but it was kind of flat across like that, and then I drilled the 2 holes. And that gave me the lift with the bracket when it was installed on the truck. Now, there is that 3rd hole in the original bracket that's not on this one. And that hole lines up perfectly with this reinforcement part on the bracket. So I couldn't drill a hole here and put the bolt in because there was nowhere to put it. Now I could have cut, welded, and done all that, and that's always an option if you want to get that custom. But I wasn't looking to do all that right now, so I came up with this. So was able to mount with those 2, and with this one here, this is for my hitch mount. So my hitch mount right here, it mounts underneath through that bracket, and there's the 3 bolts right here, and there's some other bolts down here, but those are the 3 that kind of hold it to the frame rail of the truck. For the bumper's sake, I think these 2 are plenty. It did have that 3rd, went through the bracket, but I think that, for this sake, that'll work, and that this here will just help keep the hitch on. I did have to flip it around, so got the nut on this side. It's the only way I could make it fit behind this, but tightened it up, and that's holding. Same on the other side, it's just opposite. Did all that, and then that fixed doing all this over here. And that was, I think, the last major modification I made, and that's how it came out. So the bumper came out just about perfectly stock, and then the rest of the body lift turned out pretty good. So this is an option if you're looking for a kit. Everything else has been discontinued, so you kind of have to modify one, but it can be done. And once I get that shift linkage part welded, I'll be able to drive it out of here.